trial number 1 on this video today. It is September the 19th, which is a Wednesday. And I am starting with the math workshop. And the only reason is, guys, is because the simplifying is so important. Here we go. So, on the math workshop, this is the math workshop from week 6. I just don't feel like walking across the room to get another copy. I am on number 6. Okay. And the first question on number 6 is to simplify 6/24. Now, the rule that I use, or how I always say this is, ask yourself if anything can go into the top and the bottom evenly, but it has to be the same number. Okay, so what number goes into those? 4. Does 4 go into 6 evenly? What other number does? 3, 2, either one. Either one. So, if you use 2, I just want to show you what happens. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Okay. You got to ask yourself, can anything go into the top and the bottom evenly? Okay. But this one, like if we did these steps, what would it be? 3. Okay. So I want to show you a couple different things. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay. That is as small, simplified as it's going to get. I want to show you another one. And I wish you all would look, because so many of you think you did it wrong, and you did it right. You just didn't realize it. Some of you are doing this. You have 6/24. And I heard some of you say, well, Miss Donahue, I can divide by 3 first. Yes, you are totally correct. If I divide by 3, I get 2, and I divide that, and I get 8. Well, the only difference is now I got to simplify by 2's. And I get the same answer as that kid. Then I heard, because y'all are awesome, I heard one other person say this. Someone else said, but Miss Donahue, I see that I can simplify by 6. And they got 1 and they got 4. I need you to see you are all correct. All it is some of us take a few more steps, and it's going to be what I call fluency of multiplication tables. The bigger the number you're dividing by, like on this bottom one, it just makes it faster in the simplifying, or quicker. You should get the same answer. My only issue is this. If you are doing this first or second style, because you're doing more work, you're just more likely to make more mistakes. Does that make sense? So like maybe you just accidentally change something up. But as long as you're, just show me all the steps. They're all correct. Is that good on the first one? Okay, because that was kind of like the first thing I was trying to also teach today is simplifying by a number. Okay, the second one on number 7 on Math Workshop kind of shows us something different. It is 44/10. And I kind of talked about this yesterday. Okay, this is an improper fraction. The top number is bigger than the bottom. That means we have to divide. We have to do 44 divided by 10. And 44 has to go in the house. We're going to do the division. How many 10s are in 44? Wake up, people. 4, which is 40. And there are 4 left over. Okay. We're going to make a mixed number. It goes 4 whole times. There are 4 left over out of 10s. 4 and 4 tenths. But what do we see? What's wrong with it? It is not simplified. What goes into 4 and 10? 2. Okay, so my second question I always ask is, can anything go into the top and the bottom evenly?
Nope.
And you are right. It's going to be 2 fifths. Okay, so before I circle, it's kind of a goofy rule, but this is what I tell my kids. Before I ever circle any answer, I don't care if we're multiplying, dividing, adding, or subtracting fractions, you want to ask yourself 2 questions. So before I circle this, I ask myself, is the top number bigger than the bottom? No. Okay, that means I can go on the next question. Can anything go into the top and the bottom evenly? And if that happens, you know you got more work to do. But there's 2 questions you always want to ask yourself. Okay? Does that kind of help you see the steps there? Okay. Number 8 is, honestly, I'm kind of glad they showed it because we don't see it very often. And it can throw us off. 45 over 15. Well, the top number's bigger, I got to divide. How many 15s go into 45? 3. It is just the whole number 3. You just put 3, to be honest. You don't put 0 15ths because that's kind of like walking up to someone and saying, I have $3 and no pennies. We just don't say we have no pennies. We just say we have $3. So we leave off the 0 15ths and we just put the 3. Does that make sense? Everybody's good on that one? Okay, so will you get out last night's homework? Last night's homework was the adding and subtracting of fractions. And I even did 1 through 6 of the video. And then I did like number 10 or something because I thought it was, to be honest, I thought it was going to be borrowing and it wasn't. That's okay. So on Tuesday night, you guys had this worksheet, and it said day 1, okay? And all I'm going to do is start by starting by showing you some answers. We're going to start just 3 at a time, because I don't want anybody, let's all get on the same page here. So this is day 1's. Okay, so like number 1, if you didn't check it with a video, it's 11/12. Check, the biggest mistake today has been adding on subtract and subtracting on add. So just kind of check if you missed something, you know. Okay, number 2, did you get 1/5? Okay, if you got 2/10, we got to start simplifying. Okay, starting today, right now. Yes. Yes. Give me a second when I get down to number 7, if you don't mind. Is that okay? Okay. And then number 3, I got 1/6. Don't see it? How I got it? Okay. So my question to you is, I got to kind of go back up in your brain. I know this sounds weird. Starting here, do you see how I'm getting the common denominator? The 12. Okay. Are you getting the 5 and the 3? Okay, so that tells me you know how to make numerators. Now, check this, because a lot of kids are getting, make sure you subtracted and got 2/12. So, yesterday, we were in such a rush. I didn't get to talk much about simplifying, guys. Starting today, I need your brain to like kick in the simplifying, okay? So if you didn't simplify, do you see how I simplified though? Like I divided the top and the bottom by 2? Does that help a little bit? Okay, so simplifying is the only thing. That's kind of what we're working on today. It's like we're adding that into it, okay? Okay, everybody get on 1 through 3. Anybody? 3? Do you see what, like, you sure? You good? Okay. I see some erasing and stuff. Listen, I don't mind. This one a lot of kids added and got 6/10. I've had that mistake today. Okay. Number 2. What do y'all like? I see a lot of you looking at number 2. What is it about number 2 that got you? Tell me. Going across multiplying? Okay. So do you see how I did it? You sure? Listen, let me do this. I don't want anyone to be lost. Listen. And before we can move on today, like, it's really not any harder today. It's just different problems. Let's talk about them. Like, let's look at just number 2 real quick. And I'm going to write it out, and maybe this will help your mind to kind of see what we did. Okay. It is 2/5 minus 2/10. Okay. So step number 1. If I skip count by 5s and 10s, 5, 10, 15, 20, and I skip count by 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, what do they hit together? 10, right? That's how I'm getting that bottom common denominator. Just like that. Now to create the numerator, this is the weird part. And this is the part there's a couple different ways to do it. I go across because most of you guys like multiplication tables better than division. So I say 5 times what gives me that 10? Times 2. Then I ask you to bring it up here and do the same math. Don't change that number. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? Now what you did here is going to be different than here. That's why I changed the pen color. Because I need your brain to kind of throw out what you just did and start over. So 10 times what is 10? 1. And then I bring my times 1 up here. 2 times 1 is 2. Does that make sense? Now I look at subtraction and I go 4 minus 2 is 2 over 10. And then dividing by 2's gives me the 1/5, the simplifying part. Does that help a little bit? Okay. Some of us are going to need to write like every step for a little bit. And then slowly, like, you'll start not needing that. Okay. Let me work number 4. Because I think I already showed you 3. Let's look at 4. Everybody look at 4. Because nobody's worked it yet. Like, nobody's seen the answer. Unless you watched the video last night. Okay. I got 3/5 plus 6/8. Okay. I'm going to skip count by 5s and 8s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Which one of those is in my 8s tables? 40. That's all I'm doing. And if you need to jot them up here, literally, that is all I'm doing. Is in my brain, I'm thinking of these multiplication tables. And can y'all see that? There you go. That is what my brain is doing until it matches up. And I realize, oh, even though that one was out a little bit, 40s are there. So if my bottom number is 40, okay, I do 5 times what is 40? 8. Bring that up here. 3 times 8? 24. Let's do different down here on the bottom. 8 times 5 is 40, and 6 times 5 is 30. Listen, don't let big numbers scare you. You can add 30 plus 24. What do you get? 54. Over 40. We've seen improper fractions before. How many 40s go into 54? 1 and 14 40ths. Because there'll be 14 left over. What simplifies 14 and 40? 2. How many 2's are in 14? 7. 2's in 40. 20. 2 times 20 is 40. Listen, I'm losing some of you, and I think it's because you watched the video last night. I think you get it. But when I get to, let's keep going here. Okay. So let's look at 5 and 6. Here's 5 and 6. And to be honest, 5 and 6 should be reviewed from last year. common denominators of 8, adding, common denominators of 15, subtracting. Okay, 5. So go back up and look in it. Did you use a common denominator 8? Yes. Do you have 2 8s plus 3 8s? Okay, so yours is making numerators. Kind of go across. 4 times what is 8? 4 times 2, so 1 times 2 is 2. And then 8 times 1 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. Where'd you get an 11 at? Like, I'm trying to... Oh, that'll do it. Look at the wrong problem. Okay. Listen, I want y'all to, like, if you make a mistake, yes, I want to talk about it. It's awesome. Listen, it's okay. We just figured out she's on the wrong problem. It's okay. Anybody else on 5 or 6? Well, I haven't shown you 8 yet. You don't know. Is everybody good on 5 and 6? Oh, you mean this one. Well, what'd you get wrong? Did you have the 8s? What'd you use for common denominator? Ooh, now listen. There's a big issue right there. When you are going to this step, I need them to match. I don't really know how you got 6 and... Are you talking about the top numbers, 6 and 3?
No, wait. I got 24.
Okay. On the bottom number. Finally. Here we go. I got a reason I said finally. Not because of you. Because all day I've been waiting on some kid to tell me that they got a different common denominator. And she's the first one all day who has admitted to it. I am happy to hear. Here we go. Let me show you why. Okay, so this is my problem, right? I need every one of you to look up here because your work might be right. If she is using, I'm going to kind of go this way. If she is using the common denominator of, what'd you say? 24? Okay. I need her to know that she is right. 24 is a common denominator. It is just not the LCM. It's not the lowest one. But watch. It doesn't matter. Watch. 4 times what is 24? 6. 1 times 6 is 6. 8 times 3 is 24. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay. She's right. If she adds 6 plus 9, she gets 15 over 24. Even if she adds 5 plus 4 in the front, she gets a 9. Here's the thing. The only thing you probably messed up on was simplifying. What goes into 15 and 24? 3. Listen, if I divide that by 3 and that by 3, I keep my 9. 15 divided by 3 is, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. Listen, your answer is the same as mine. You just didn't simplify it correctly. I need you to all soak that in. And 4th period, I hate to tell you, you're the first group who's discovered that. That is right. So sometimes we need to talk about why you think you missed it, because you may not have missed it. Okay? Does that kind of show you? I'm so glad like you had a mistake. I know that sounds horrible, but I love it. Okay? There's so many different ways to do this. Some other kid might have done Like, you could do a huge number, guys. You could do, I'm trying to think, 32 plus 32. You could do 32, because 8 times 4 is 32, right? You would have more simplifying. You could do 64. Some kid could do 64 if they really wanted to. They're going to have a lot of simplifying, okay? So, when you're getting it wrong, I need to, I got to refresh my brain and start asking you what was your common denominator, okay? Yay, question. Please wait. We need to keep going. Here we go. Please, if possible. If possible. If you can't, go. Number 6. Let's look at it. Did we look at it already? I don't remember. Yes. Okay. 3 and 1/15. Okay. Now, let's go to the weird ones. Here we go. 7, 8, 9. I know I didn't show you on the video last night, and they've been sitting here just a minute because I didn't realize I showed you. Okay. 7. 10 and 19 35ths. Okay. 4 and 5 44ths. And then simplify it to 4/15ths. Yes.
4 and 9. I mean 8 and 9.
8 and 9. What was your common denominator?
44.
Okay, so on the top, do you have 33? Okay. On the top of that one, do you have 28?
Oh.
7 times 4. Okay.
On the bottom number, I put 11 instead of 3.
Ah, there you go. Okay. Anybody else? Just copy the bottom number wrong. It's okay. Yes. Oh, I see. Got a 2. Okay. A lot of this is just getting back in the swing of things. You did it last year. You probably even did it the year before. It's just getting back in it. That's all. Uh-huh. Number 9. I did it by 2 because they're both even numbers. So I did 8 divided by 2 is 4. 30 divided by 2 is 15. I know they're even because they end in the numbers 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Okay? Anybody else? Okay, the last 3. Now, this one I need to probably talk about, number 11. Let's just start with 10. Any questions on 10? I got 2 and 1/16. I've had a few kids add that one and they got 2 and 3/16. Just make sure you subtract it. Okay. Please, can you wait, please? Because, I was getting ready to explain one to you. Did you get that one, though? Okay. What denominator? Did you find a common denominator for this one? Okay, so on this one, when you're to start this off, guys, the very first step is looking and seeing if these are common, if they're the same, okay? And if they're not, that is the first thing you got to do. So do you see how I changed, my question is this, do you see why it's 16? Because if I skip count by 8s, that number, and I skip count by 16s, do you see how that is the common one? Okay. That's how I got that bottom number. Okay. So if you're not real sure on that, start by writing that down. Okay. That's okay. Just ignore this for just a second. The ones of you who are still working on these 3 with me, keep working with me. If you are kind of ahead of me at this point, I'm going to go kind of ahead and hand these to you. Because some of you are waiting on me, and this way you can kind of get started. Okay, but if you were lost, please stick with me on the top on the board. Okay, now, do you see how to create the top number, the numerator? Do you see it? What should we do? Okay, what was it? Does that make sense? Okay. And did you figure out how to do the top number? The 2 and the 1. I'll let you pass it back. Yeah, you sure? Okay. Yes. This is classwork homework, and I'm getting there, I promise. I'm just trying to give y'all, the ones of you who are sitting here staring at me like, I'm trying to give you a second to kind of jump on it. Are we good on that one? Okay. Let's look at this one. Many of you might have missed this one. This is the ugly one with the borrowing. This is the ugly one with the borrowing. I was thinking that one had borrowing last night when I did it, but it didn't. Look, you can't do 1 minus 4. If you have 1 apple, you can't minus 4. So you have to borrow from the top and add in whatever the denominator is. I've heard some weird stuff today, and I'm kind of flipping out. I need you to look real quick. You're not adding 1, guys. Your new number is not 2 tenths. You're adding 10 tenths. If those denominators are like 30s, you're adding 30 30ths. Do y'all see how I got 11 tenths? Minus 4 tenths and got that. 7 tenths. Okay. The last one, simplified it by 3. No, 4. Sorry. 4 goes into 12, 3. 4 goes into 16, 4. Does that help a little bit? Okay. Listen, this is my plan right now. I wish you would maybe start like the first couple. I'm going to come around trying to help you and see where you're making mistakes or not making mistakes. Okay? Later, I'm hoping that I can hit pause on this video and then tonight maybe have the first couple worked out. Okay? Not all of them, nowhere near. But maybe the first couple. Okay? So, start working on what I just gave you. And I'm going to come around and try to look over shoulders and see how it's going. Now, I am now going to go in and try to do a few of these problems. Just so tonight you guys will have a way to kind of just see if you're doing them correctly. And I'm just, it's really just for your sake, and I'm just going to kind of skip around. Let me start. This is this homework. They've kind of worked on it in class. They should have about half of it done. So here we go. Oh, this is the wrong sheet. 1 second. Let me get the right sheet. Okay. Now that I have the right piece of paper, this is tonight's homework. Okay. And they had a good 20 minutes probably in class. So here we go. I'm going to start just by doing number 2. No reason. I don't know. I'm going to put 1/3 minus 2 tenths. Okay. If I need a common denominator. To find it, I want to skip count by 3s. And I want to skip count by 10s. Until I can find the number that they have in common. And the first number I reach is 30. 30 is the common denominator. Now, to create the numerator, the top number, this is how it works. I say 3 times what is 30, which is 10, and then 1 times 10 is 10. And then on the bottom, I do 10 times 3 is 30, so 2 times 3 equals 6. I look at subtraction. 10 minus 6 is 4 out of 30. And so it equals, if I simplify, we've talked a lot about simplifying today. And if I simplify by 2, the top and the bottom, I get 2/15. That is the final answer, 2/15. Okay. I'm going to go down and do number 6, just to kind of show the kids a borrowing one. Starting out, I'm going to put this on top of each other, 10 3/5 minus 7 3/4. Okay. I need to find a common denominator. If I skip count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, and I skip count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, I hit 20 on each side. Okay. Now, my brain is doing this. 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 3 times 4 is 12. Here is the problem, right here. 12 minus 15. Okay, I need to fix it up. I'm going to borrow. I'm going to borrow from the 10. He is now a 9. I took 1 from him. The only difference is, instead of adding what I call a big fat 1 up here, like that, like a big fat whole number, we're not adding a whole number. We are adding a whole number cut up. And we're going to cut it up into 20s based on that common denominator. So since my common denominator is 20s, I'm adding 20 20ths. Well, if I add 20 to 12, it finally gives me a 32 on top out of 20. If I just bring this over and subtract 15 20ths, I can now do this math. I can do 32 minus 15. It is 17 over 20. I go back, I look at my whole numbers, 9 minus 7, and I get 2. And I can finish that off. There's no simplifying. So, when you borrow, if your denominators are, let's say, 12, you would add 12 12s. If your denominators are 9s, you would add 9 9s to the top fraction. Okay. Just doing, I don't know, doing one of the addition ones. I'll go down here to number 7. I have 2 3/7 plus 2 2/5. I'm going to do common denominator of 35. Kind of weird numbers, but it works. 7 times 5 is 35. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 7 is 35. 2 times 7 is 14. If I'm adding, I get 29 over 35, and 2 plus 2 is 4. And it does not simplify, so that's kind of nice. Okay. Their homework is to finish the rest of these. I've left them kind of with 1 and 3, 4 and 5, 8 and 9, and 10, 11, and 12. They should have been about halfway done when they left the room today. Thank you. We'll go over the rest tomorrow. Don't forget to study vocab. The words are denominator, numerator, simplify, sum, product, difference, and quotient. Don't forget to study vocab for Friday. 100-point test on fractions, add and subtract. Thank you.